How to like someone you dislike. Carrying around a negative emotion like dislike for someone is distracting and draining for you and for other people as well. Learning to like someone you dislike starts with your own thoughts and feelings, and is reflected in how you move through your daily routines and interactions with other people as well. As you get rid of your negative feelings and develop positive ones, you will likely feel more confidence, be more at ease, and develop your sense of self overall. Part 1. Changing how you respond to someone you dislike. 1. Show that you are interested and open. Your body reveals how you feel whether you are saying anything or not, so make sure that your physical expression shows that you feel at ease being around the person. In addition, there are studies indicating that you can cue your brain how to respond emotionally by intentionally positioning your body and composing your facial expressions positively, like smiling, or negatively, like frowning. The other person will respond more openly if you are open to them, and your brain will generate more positive feelings. Relax your shoulders and neck. Don't stand or sit rigidly. Uncross your arms and legs, and orient your body towards the other person. Keep your expression alert but neutral. Focus on the person as you interact, but don't stare or hold eye contact too long. Don't fidget or check your phone or watch compulsively. 2. Avoid talking negatively about the other person. Focus on positive, likable traits and acknowledge these behaviors, to yourself, to others, and to the other person. You are perhaps in the habit of thinking only about those aspects you do not like about the other person, and it is important to break those habitual thought patterns. You can change not only your feelings towards the other person by monitoring what you think and say about the person, but rewire your brain for more happiness overall. Don't gossip or complain about the other person. Redirect your thoughts to more positive thoughts when you find yourself dwelling on how you dislike the person. Actively look for good or likable things about the other person, and point out these traits to other people as well as to the person. 3. Avoid hot-button topics. If there are topics or situations that are typically difficult, try to avoid those exchanges. These kinds of interactions can overwhelm the best of your intentions, and there is no reason to recreate or instigate stressful exchanges. You shouldn't expect yourself or the other person to be perfectly in tune about every little thing. 4. Try to redirect the conversation if or when things get tense. Don't interrupt or ignore what the other person says. Instead, take a step back emotionally and consider how you can pause things. You might try to pull other people into the conversation, or excuse yourself for a moment to go to the restroom or to check your phone. Just creating a few minutes of breathing room can help you regain your composure, and still stay present with the other person. 5. Make a polite and relaxed exit if things start going badly. Don't storm off or abruptly break off conversation. This might be a challenge if you're agitated too, so take a moment to think about choosing with intention to excuse yourself rather than react. If it's an appropriate thing to do, you can lightly touch the other person's arm or shoulder as you tell them you need to go. Touching someone in a circumstance like this reaffirms your connection to them in a non-threatening physical way. Keep in mind that when you need to disengage from the conversation, you don't want to make the other person feel rejected. 6. Be thoughtful and focused when talking with the other person. Listen more than you talk, and give some thought to how you respond. By being slow and careful with your response, you make it less likely that your emotions will take control of the situation. Also, when you spend more time listening than talking, you may discover likable things about the other person. It might be that the other person has felt ignored or unheard, and the behavior you dislike is at least partly the result of those feelings. Ask yourself, do I really have to react to what she just said? Keep the bigger goal in mind, changing your dislike overall, not in this moment. Make sure you really understand what the person means, not just what they say. Ask questions, put what they say in your own words, and run it by the other person to see if you got their meaning right. 7. Share more about yourself with the other person. If you have been defensive or closed off with them, you may be causing them to feel insecure and behave antagonistically. For instance, ask about their holiday or vacation plans, and share your own. It's important that this comes across as opening up and not competition, so keep it casual. You want to establish dialogue and maybe common interests or experiences as foundations for positive feelings. Express interest and enthusiasm for what they tell you, and offer some personal response. Say something like, "Oh, I have heard that's a really great vacation spot. Don't talk about how much something cost, or how exclusive or high-end something or place is. Instead, share how you feel or what you particularly liked about it. Find out what kinds of activities they like, and ask what it is they enjoy about doing those things. 8. Act with care and thoughtfulness. Pay attention to what's going on with the person, and keep him or her on your radar. Include the other person in after-work or after-school plans with others. Offer to help with some task, or do some small favor. Don't overwhelm them with your attention, however. Suddenly making someone you have disliked the center of your actions will come across as insincere, and maybe even scary. If you're picking up coffee for yourself, ask if you can get one for them too. Ask the person to join your group for lunch. If you have skills or experience that the other person could use, offer them your help or guidance. Make it part of your routine to check in with the other person and find out how they are doing. Part 2. Working on yourself. 1. Keep your focus on your behavior and reactions. Be responsible for your feelings, and don't try to make your feelings their problem. Remember that this is a goal you have chosen for yourself, and no one else can change what you feel or think but you. Avoid blaming your response on their actions. Keep the big picture in mind. You are working on some aspect of yourself that want to make better. See the other person as a separate individual who is not obliged to make you feel good. 2. Examine why you dislike the other person. Your dislike might come from your own memories and experiences rather than what is currently going on with this person. Or you may see in them some trait or emotion you dislike about yourself. Pay attention to what your dislike centers on, and see if it is connected with anything from your own personal history. Sometimes people deal with feelings they have but can't accept about themselves by projecting those feelings onto the other person. It may or may not be true that the other person acts in some way you dislike, but the cause of your dislike might be your self-judgment about your behavior or inclinations. The cause of dislike for someone is sometimes because they remind you of some problematic person you knew or know. You may not even be aware that you are associating the two people and transferring your feelings from the past person to the present situation. Maybe you have allowed the opinions and experiences of others to color your feelings about this person. Refer only to your own actual interactions to inform your feelings towards him or her. 3. Don't dwell on past events or history. Let go of previous problems or issues, and don't carry negative expectations based on what has happened before. See the person in the present moment, and keep your focus on what is happening now. 4. Take how you feel less seriously. You do not need to make your feelings the most central and important part of how you go through your day. People will see you as self-absorbed and self-centered if you are constantly asking for your feelings to be accommodated by everyone else. If you really need to unburden yourself, give yourself 5 minutes to vent and then move on. Avoid talking in casual or group conversation about your feelings. Don't take yourself or your feelings too seriously. Part 3. Learning to like someone. 1. Get to know the other person. You may find there are things about the other person that you like, or maybe at least find interesting. If you have been used to seeing only the things you dislike, you probably have not noticed any other traits about the person. Find out about the person's background and life history. There may be things you have in common. Learn about their interests and hobbies, favorite foods, or music. Ask about how they experience the workplace or school environment. You may find out that the other person experiences some stress or difficulty that impacts their behavior. 2. Develop empathy and compassion for the other person. Try to see things from their point of view. If you can shift your viewpoint to see things more like they do, you will probably find that the person has valid reasons for their actions and behaviors. Understanding what the other person goes through, what struggles they have, will lead to empathy and compassion. It's hard to hold on to feelings of dislike towards someone who you understand and empathize with. 3. Make a positive environment your priority. Take your focus off the dynamic between you and the other person, and pay attention to how things are going in the workplace or classroom. Work on being a positive presence in a larger context. Part of being that kind of co-worker or classmate is limiting or eliminating whatever tension your dislike of the other person most likely has been adding. Focusing on group dynamics forces you to think and act more inclusively. 4. See this as an opportunity to grow in general. You are making a really positive and courageous decision when you commit to give up on feeling negatively towards another person. This is a perfect time to broaden yourself and get rid of personal biases that limit you. How might your habits and routines be obstacles to your goals and values? Take steps in other areas of your life to support the kind of changes you desire. Get to know people outside your familiar circle of friends and family. Educate yourself about the concerns or issues of other communities and groups. Go to multicultural events or festivals. Try new and different food and restaurants when you go out to eat. Learn a new language or new activities.